Hey, what's good? It's your girl Peacock here in Singapore, and it is Sunday night. Well, it was. It's Monday morning. Man, it's been a long day, and I, for one, am super excited that I have a day off tomorrow. It'll be my only day off this week because I got errands to run, I got stuff to do, I've got work all week as well. But then I have vacation, so I'm trying to get the hustle out the way so that I can really relax on vacation. Although there will be some hustle oriented meetings out there as well. Either way, I'm gonna get it done. You know me, I can't sit still for long anyway. So, if you tuned in yesterday, you know that I featured my boy Phoenix and an old track of his. And like I mentioned, I'm gonna keep dropping tracks of his as we go along because I do believe in his music. I enjoy the way he puts and produces a beat, and I mean, why not, right? If you find something you like, your job is to promote it. It's like the right thing to do. It's almost like when you see street performers and stuff. If they can turn your head, you owe them money. That's the rule. It's the golden rule. So if a street performer can turn your head, if he can catch your attention for like a moment or so, you owe them money because that is a craft that they are trying to perfect, and they're on it like everybody else is on their own hustle, so why not? I'm kind of getting the hang of this new schedule thing that's going on for this year. Like I said, with baby girl going to school and stuff, everything is like haywire. I had to figure out how to go to sleep on time so I can wake up on time, drop her off at school on time, get to work on time. Getting to work actually after I drop her off is no big deal because, I mean, if I'm going to be up at the crack of dawn, walk her to school, leave her, in school by 7:15 in the morning, shoot. And I don't need to be at work till 10. Guess what? I usually get there by 9 o'clock. So it's an extra hour of quiet that I can kind of like collect my thoughts, make sure everything's straight inside the center, and then get to work. So I'm good. I'm cool with that. But yeah, so I'm kind of getting the hang of it, trying to make sure that, I'm on my A game because I want baby girl to feel loved and supported, make sure that she has everything she needs to succeed in school. And that includes, educationally, like when she's at home for homework, as well as nutritionally, physically, spiritually, all of that stuff. So enough sleep, plenty of good food, lots of water, lots of love and encouragement, confidence, stuff like that. So that actually is going to lead me right into the topic for tonight because I want to talk to you about unconditional love. Now, I was having a long conversation with one of my girls out in China, Mia, y'all all know her. Talking to her for a little bit and, just catching up with life because we haven't talked to each other since, I think it was like just after Christmas maybe. And just calling to find out what she was doing, what she's been doing, how her day, her year is starting off or whatever. And in the course of things, we were talking about love. Now, most times when people say love, they think romantic love, right? But there's so many kinds of love. There's so many forms of love. Just like there's so many different types of yoga. We all know what hatha yoga is. It's the aspect of yoga where you actually stretch and limber up your body so that the circulation is on point, that you can meditate and really, watch your breath, calm your breath, use the breath to heal your body, basic understanding of what yoga is. But then there's also Raja Yoga, there's Jnana Yoga, there's so many different types of yoga, and Raja Yoga is one of those that I love most because it is it's basically community service, to volunteer your time instead of money. Volunteer your time because that's a non-renewable resource. Volunteer your time so you can help other people, help the less fortunate. Maybe you work in a community kitchen. Maybe you go pick up trash on the side of the road. Maybe you go visit with the elderly because they also need some company. Whatever it is, that is also considered Raja Yoga. So there's so many different types of yoga, and just like that, there's so many different types of love. But honestly, the only thing that makes the world go round is love. So tonight I want to talk to you about my understanding of unconditional love. From where I'm sitting, and the reason I bring this up is because Mia was like, well, you're a mom, you know what unconditional love is, teach me. And I was like, okay. We can start with that. A mother's love is unconditional because come hell or high water, it is your duty to make sure your child is safe, cared for, healthy. It's all of those things, right? And no matter how many times that child rolls their eyes at you, no matter how many times that child disobeys, doesn't listen, picks a fight with you, whatever it is, you're not going to love them any less. It may be hurtful. You may not like them at the time, but you will not love them any less. Does that make sense? And to explain it a little bit further, it goes beyond that. A mother's love is easy to describe because it's a mother's love. But what happens when you have friends that hurt your feelings, or a significant other who is hurt themselves, so they're lashing out at you? You never know. There are different situations for everything, right? But in my experience, I have learned that when someone appears the most unlovable is when they need the most love. And I feel like sometimes you're in a position to help and sometimes you're not, so the best thing you can do is not add to the trouble or make it bigger. I always understood it like this. Love is one-way traffic. You give. And when you give, you don't give with the expectation that you receive in return. You give because you feel like giving, because it makes you feel joyful to do so. You tell someone you love them not because it is the right thing to do. It's not because you're supposed to, because they said it first. It's not because that's what you do. It's not that, quick peck on the cheek when you're about to leave the door from your husband or your wife or whatever. It's not like that. It's when you feel that emotion, you say it. When you feel close to someone and you want to show them that you care, that you've been thinking about them, that you want them to understand that you are feeling affectionate, you do those things. Whether it's, I don't know, you notice someone is going through a rough time and you know exactly what kind of food would make them feel a little bit better. So you go out of your way and you pick up that kind of food and you bring it to them. Or let's say, your aunt isn't feeling so good. She's talking about her feet hurt or whatever, and you offer to massage her legs for her because she is getting older, and you don't know how much more time you'll have with them. What you want to do is just spend some time and show them that you care. It could be something as simple as you notice a colleague at work is going through a rough time, and where you may not be able to donate money, you may not be able to solve their problems for you, you may not even be that close of a friend to be able to really ask you, hey, what's going on? How can I help? So what you do instead is go out of your way to be nice to them so that they maybe feel like they have someone in their corner. But either way, every one of those acts of kindness does not come with a price tag. There's no price on that. You're giving because you feel it is the right thing to do. You feel like it's something that would give you joy just to give. You know what I mean? So I was always taught that if you give with the intention of receiving, that's no longer an act of love. That is a business agreement. You're doing it this way so that you can get that in return. It's like, I'm putting money into my bank now so that I can pick it back out later. But that's not how love works. The funny thing is, love pays itself forward very, very easily. All you have to do is make one person feel good. And then another person. Help them feel good. And then another person help them feel good. And eventually, when those people feel good, they will also want to pay it forward. It's not even like a conscious thing, it's an unconscious thing. And I feel like unconditional love in that regard can heal so many situations. Now, I know a lot of us are slowly ascending. We are awakening in our own time. We are learning that there is more to life than bills and dinner and, I don't know, new shoes for school. There's so much more to life than that. It's more like, how do you read energy when you meet people? What kind of energy are you putting out? How do you appear? How do you receive? How do you give without any expectation of a return? How do you how do you read the signs in your life? All these things, right? They're on a different level from the materialistic human that you usually come across, like on the street or whatever. But all of that comes from a level of love. Either it's a level of self-love because you understand yourself, you forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made in the past, you are learning to heal some of that pain that you've lived through. Maybe it's, situations where you feel like it's better to show love than to get on the defensive and add to the problem, because you know, just as well as the other person does, that one person being hurt and another person being hurt by that first person can actually lead to a bigger problem, and it's completely unnecessary. So it's just a matter of being awake enough to understand the dynamics of energy exchange in order to avoid escalating a situation, basically. I know recently I had a conversation with someone, and I just asked a very simple question, and they immediately took offense to it. And when I basically told them, look, I just asked the question because I was excited, I wanted to know the outcome, they were like, oh, okay. And then they went on to complain about all the reasons why they shouldn't do what I asked, because, it wasn't in their best interest. And it would have been easy for me to say, yeah, well, don't do it then. But that wouldn't have gotten me very far, and I know this person, so doing that would have just set them off, and they would have started a fight with me. So I know when I'm being goaded into a fight, I know when I'm being invited to an argument, and I know better than to attend. Because so many times I've been sucked into those situations, and then the only thing that happens is, because they know where and how to hit me, I'm the one who ends up being hurt. You know what I mean? So instead of doing what I could have done, I decided to approach it with a little bit of love and kind of be vague, because I knew that being vague meant that they wouldn't have anything to sink their teeth into and start a conversation or like an argument. So basically I was like, well, I don't know what to say, and I just left it at that. Other situations, I was talking to Mia as well about triggers. And when you are triggered by something, it is actually a really good indication of something else that you need to heal in your life. So it could be anything from understanding that, hey, for some reason when I see my ex's name, I get angry. And you should no longer get angry if you are actually over that situation. So if you are not over it and you're still getting angry, chances are you have something that you need to work on in that regard, something that you need to heal. It could be... It could be that you go into work and you're already not completely satisfied with the kind of work you do, or the job, the position, the paycheck, whatever it is. It could be something that you don't like about work, but then another person at that particular location may aggravate the situation further. So in order to avoid an escalating situation, what you may do is try to avoid that person, kind of like an out of mind, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, so that you don't escalate a situation. And that's out of love, because you know what will happen if you do, engage with this person. So like I said, bottom line, love is giving, giving, giving. It is one-way traffic. The hardest thing in the world is to show love and not expect something in return. Now, I'll give you a real good case study. Right now, in this digital